Welcome to episode 13 of Writing on Caffeine, the podcast where you can come along on a journey with a father and daughter as we attempt to write our first novels. I am Jonathan Franzone, and this is my daughter.
I'm Ragan, also Franzone.
We are recording today at the Coffee Break Cafe, and I am drinking a large Poe, as in Edgar Allan Poe. It is chocolate, espresso, and raspberry. It's very good. What are you drinking, Ragan?
I am drinking a Romeo.
Romeo?
Which is chocolate, hazelnut, and strawberry.
That sounds good.
We both went fruity today.
Yeah, we did.
So, and you're off your no sugar
That's
drinks.
right. It is after Lent, so I can have sugar
Yay.
in my drinks. It's very good. So how's the writing coming?
Every podcast episode, I feel like we have the same conversation where you're like, how's it going? And I'm like, you know what? I wrote a few words.
Yeah.
Not great, but, we're plugging along.
Yeah, I wrote once or twice since we last recorded, so.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely.
It will happen eventually.
It will, yes.
I'm not deleting words, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's forward.
Forward.
Very slowly.
Yes. 20 words at a time.
That's right. Today we are going to be talking about magic systems, and we discussed this a little bit in our world building episode, but today we're going to do a deep dive into just writing magic systems.
Yes.
Are you ready to go?
I'm excited about it.
So, of course, being the Brandon Sanderson's podcast, we figured we'd open with Sanderson's Laws of Magic.
Yep.
Which we have discussed before, but I'll go ahead and outline it again. Sanderson's first law is that an author's ability to solve conflict with magic is directly proportional to how well the reader understands that magic. So, in essence, this law states that magic should be explained and understood by the reader if it is to be used to solve problems in the story. A well-defined magic system allows the reader to feel engaged and invested in the story rather than feeling cheated by a deus ex machina resolution.
Yep. We love a deus ex machina.
A good deus ex machina in the morning. That's good. All right, you want to read the second one?
Yeah. So Sanderson's second law is limitations are greater than powers. This law emphasizes the importance of limitations and weaknesses in a magic system. A character's limitations or rules governing a magic system are often more interesting than the powers themselves. These limitations create conflict, force characters to think creatively, and make the story more compelling.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's also true of people. Like, a lot of times their weaknesses and how they overcome them make them more interesting.
Right.
And so the third law is expand on what you have already before you add something new. So basically, if you have a magic system, don't try to create a bunch of other magic systems every time you need to do something different. Rather, think within the magic system that you already have and how that can be used to solve the problem.
Which really makes sense when you look at Sanderson's magic systems because they're so complex and expanded.
Yes.
It's like science.
Yeah, he really unpacks a single magic system that he has and just takes it to the umpteenth degree of what you can do with it.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, so you want to talk examples of magic systems?
Yeah. I was thinking first, before we dive into really great magic systems that follow the laws, we could talk about some magic systems that don't follow the laws.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the first one I wanted to bring up is the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah, good. You've been reading those, haven't you?
I have, and the magic system is very ex machina. Like, there's nothing, and then, magic. They're like in Narnia, but they don't ever use it to solve a problem.
Right.
There's no magic that actually happens unless it's Aslan showing up and doing something incredible, and then, that's just God in the book.
Yeah. He's literally the deus ex machina.
He really is.
He really is.
So, that kind of makes sense, but,
So what other types of magic are there in Narnia? There's a few.
So in Narnia, we have witchcraft. And then also we have just like the generic world magic that's kind of set into existence by Aslan in The Magician's Nephew.
Right.
He kind of sings it into existence. And I feel like that's just kind of an embodiment of Aslan himself.
So the wardrobe that they use in The Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe, the wood from that actually comes from a tree that came from Narnia.
Right, yeah.
So it was during the creation of the world, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The creation of Narnia that they get an apple or something, a fruit.
Yeah, the fruit saves his mom, and then they plant the seeds.
They plant it, yeah. So that's a type of magic. Another one is Tumnus. Sort of has a magic with his pan flute thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's putting Lucy to sleep and kind of putting her in a trance.
Yeah. And almost. Then there's also whatever magic the White Witch has, which is a little bit different because there are like witches, but then there's the White Witch who's got like a more substantial magic than just the other like Selkie witches.
Yeah. But it kind of does follow the laws if you think about it, because the magic never really does much.
Right.
So the witch seems to be powerful, but you don't really know what her magic does. But then she also doesn't really use it.
Right.
She just sends her minions to kill people. And
paralyzes people, turns them into stone.
Yeah. Which is kind of bad.
Right. But, I mean, she like makes goodies for Edmund.
That's true. Yeah.
She stops the seasons from changing.
Yeah.
But again, there's not like any actual conflict resolution that has to do with using magic.
Right, yeah.
It's all like the kids working themselves to overcome problems just in a world where magic exists.
Right, yeah. And then at some point Santa Claus shows up.
Right. Or Aslan shows up and he's like, I'm God. Here's a big ocean monster.
Right. Yeah, so do you have any other bad examples or not useful examples?
Not useful examples.
I had down here the Lord of the Rings.
Yep, I was going to mention that.
Which does kind of follow the laws because it's not used for conflict resolution a lot. Sometimes it does. And we've discussed this scene before, but when the dwarves in actually the Hobbit get taken under the mountain, and then Gandalf shows up and he just shines a bright light. It's like a big flash moon.
Right.
And then that allows them to get away.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of helps with the conflict, but it's not like the ultimate solution.
Right. I think we talked about this in our world building thing, but I feel like Harry Potter is kind of like a gray area.
Yes.
For magic.
Yeah, I've got Harry Potter down as well.
Because it follows the rules to an extent.
Right.
But also, you can kind of just do whatever with it.
Yeah, so there are some rules to the magic. There's limitations.
Right.
So most of it has to be spoken.
Yeah.
But there are nonverbal spells.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to know the spell, one. That's a limitation. So it's a limitation of learning.
Right.
And then there's also seems to be like a competence.
Yeah.
So like when they're learning to float the feathers, Hermione does it really well, but the others, it takes them a while to practice.
Right.
So there's a practice element.
And then also there's an aspect of, sacrificing part of yourself.
Right, yeah.
For like dark magics.
Yeah, for Voldemort. For Mr. No-Nos.
But then there's Dumbledore.
Yeah, there's Dumbledore.
Who just like shows up and Dumbledore ex machina.
Right. Absolutely.
And I guess they kind of just build him up so that he does have like basically the biggest expanse of power that's been had in forever, and
right.
He's super wise and knows everything, but I don't know.
He is really old, and so he's got all the knowledge, and he had a huge interest as a youth, and so he dug into a lot of this stuff,
right,
which helped him to learn. But then also, spoiler alert, he has the Elder Wand,
right,
one of the Deathly Hallows.
At one point, he has all 3 of them.
No, Harry has all 3 at one point.
No, he has 2 of them.
Right, he has the ring, the stone.
Yeah, the stone and the...
Which gets put into a ring, and then he has the Elder Wand.
No, he has the cloak. Dumbledore has the cloak at the beginning of the book.
Oh, that's true.
He gives it to Harry.
He does give it to Harry, yeah.
I mean, we could go...
I don't think he had the stone at that point.
I don't think so, no.
Because he goes and fetches it.
That's how he does the weird hand thing.
Right, yeah.
Sorry, go on a whole Harry Potter tangent. We could go all day. We could have a whole podcast about how much I don't like Dumbledore, but...
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, there was another one that I was going to bring up, and I'm so frustrated.
Oh, and in Harry Potter, there's also the power of love.
Yeah.
And that's old magic.
There's like the power of love. There's also like, it's really weird because there's things like you're not allowed to practice magic outside of school, but then all these baby wizards are like practicing magic. Like it talks about in the books how like baby Harry's like flying around on a broom and like accidentally using a baby wand that they got him, and why is he not in trouble?
Yeah.
I think that's all I can think of where like magic isn't really, most of the books that I read where there's magic, it's got very clear rules and consequences.
Right, and it's a big part of the story.
Right.
I think it's a big part of the story in Harry Potter too, but like you said, it's maybe not as big.
Yeah.
Like everybody's using magic, but...
Here's a good one. This is a children's fiction book that I read when I was young by Jessica Day George. Okay. It's called Tuesdays at the Castle.
Okay.
And I was obsessed with this author when I was a kid. No joke. Loved this woman. Anyway, the premise of the book is they live in a magic castle. And every day, the castle, who is like partially sentient, creates a new room. But they don't... The castle doesn't know what it's for, and they don't know what it's for, and so they're just like trying to like map it out, and then they get lost in the castle, and it's just,
That sounds fun.
It's really cute. I gotta go back and read it, man, because like it brings back nostalgia. But that was an interesting one.
There's a book series that I read too, Magic Kingdom for Sale Sold.
Mm-hmm.
This guy from Modern World buys a Magic Kingdom out of a catalog. He thinks it's a gimmick, but it ends up being real.
Love that.
And so he becomes the king of this Magic Kingdom. And the castle in that kingdom is somewhat sentient too.
Yeah.
And it all depends on the king and sort of his mental state. So when he gets there, it's kind of run down and not doing well because nobody's been taking care of it. But as he takes control and steps into his role as the king, it starts protecting him better, and it's cleaner.
Cool.
Yeah,
love that. Sounds like a fun video game.
Yeah.
I would play that.
You want to open an example, or do you want me to bring up one of these?
I just feel like it's inevitable. Like the first thing that we should talk about needs to be Mistborn.
Sure.
Because I feel like it's like one of the most like epic magic systems that exists.
It is, yeah. Absolutely.
It's so cool.
So tell us about Mistborn.
So in Mistborn, we have Allomancers.
Right.
Who are born with the ability to use a specific type of magic, but they are only able to use the magic if they have the correct, or they consume an appropriate amount of whatever metal that their power is derived from.
Right, yeah.
So they have the power in them from the time that they're born.
Right.
But, like the ones that burn tin, that enhances all of their senses, Yeah. If they don't have tin in their bodies, they can't do it.
Yeah.
So
there's a built-in limitation of, do you have that metal on hand?
Right.
In a form that you can consume.
Right. Because it can't be mixed with anything else.
Right. And you can't just have a bar of something and, bite off a chunk.
Right. And then also, if you overuse it, you injure yourself.
Right, yeah.
What I really liked about that magic system is not only does Sanderson go for, he's got, the 4, physical element magic, people, you
Right.
know, and then they've got like the psychotic, I don't know, like, you know, like the brain ones. So they have like the pushing and the pulling.
Pushing and pulling, yeah.
They have the strong people
Right.
and the tin eyes.
What do the tin eyes do? I forget.
They're all like all the senses, so that's physical. They're enhancing
Okay,
their
yeah.
physical strength. But then they have like the soothers, the rioters, and then there's two more.
I can't remember what they were.
The invisibility, making yourself invisible to
I forgot about that one.
other allomancers.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
you could hide yourself.
Yeah, there's one more. And then, of course, there's the Mistborn, which are people
has
who
got
can
all
do
of
everything.
Right, yeah. He's got all the powers.
Yeah.
Or she. Spoiler alert.
I don't think that's a spoiler alert. That happens
Yeah.
at the beginning.
But then there's also, what is it, the hemalurgists? Is that what they're called? They have
Yeah,
the metal
mhm.
bands.
Yes. No. The Faruchemists.
The what?
Faruchemists.
That's right, Farukami. So basically, you can use different types of metal to store or retrieve things in. So if
Right.
you can store health, then you can wear a metal band and put some of your health into this metal band, which means you walk around sick for a while as you're storing health. But then if you get shot, you can pull from your metal band and heal yourself really quickly.
Right. You can like beast mode and
Right.
like get better.
And then there's also, like, you can do weight, so you can make yourself extremely heavy or extremely light,
Right.
which helps if you're falling off a building.
You can store memories.
Memories.
There's a whole lot of things. And then, you know, then you get further down the Mistborn line, and then you get to like the mixed bloods
Right,
that are
yeah, the
Faruchemists
twin-born.
and the Mistborn people, so they can do multiple. It's very complex and very interesting.
Yeah, so the Wax and Wayne series, they have the mix.
Yeah.
So, Wax, the main character, he's a pusher,
Yep.
but then he also can store and retrieve weight,
Yes.
which is handy because as he's pushing into the air, he can make himself lighter, which makes it easier to push himself up.
Yeah.
And then in some cases, he makes himself extremely heavy and like just crushes a building.
Yeah. Which he uses it in so many very creative ways.
Right. Or
So-
if he's pushing against another steel pusher, he can make himself extremely heavy so that the other guy flies off
Right.
and not him.
Yeah. It's all very scientific and very,
Yeah, he
very
uses
thought
a lot
out.
of physics in that to build the magic system.
Okay. Do you want to pick a next magic system?
So sticking with Sanderson, the book series that I've been listening to, Alcatraz versus People. So Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians is the first one. So in this, they have different types of magic, but they call it science.
Right.
So some of the things they call magic, and then some of the things they call science. So there's this line of people called Smedries.
Yeah.
It's their family line, and they all have a talent, is what they call it. It's basically magic, but it's really goofy. So this kid, his grandpa shows up. He has no idea about this world, and his grandpa is a Smedry and has the talent of being late,
Okay.
which means he's late for a lot of things, which doesn't sound like a very good talent.
Right.
But then Sanderson does a really cool thing where he applies it, and I think this goes to his third law, just expanding on stuff. So Grandpa Smedry can be late to, like, bullets.
That's lucky.
So if someone's shooting at him, he can just show up late for the bullet and not get shot. In
That's
one
so
case,
fun.
he's captured and is being tortured. And so he just shows up late for the pain of the torture, which means he can just chill out and be fine. And then eventually he has to catch up to the torture, but he can do it in a measured and slow way.
Yeah. I love that.
And Alcatraz, the main kid character, he has this extremely rare talent of breaking things. He's initially in the foster care system, and he gets passed around from family to family because he breaks everything.
Yeah.
Like, he breaks the stove, the doors are notorious, he just breaks doorknobs. They just come off in his hand, which doesn't sound all that useful to break things. But then when you get into the book series, it means he can like selectively break things.
Oh, yeah.
And in specific ways in some instances. So there's this one pair of lenses. That's another part of the magic is they've got these lenses. They're called oculators. The people are that can use them.
Yeah.
So they're like glasses that you wear that can do different things. So in one cases, there's these pair of lenses that shoot fire out of them, or like a laser beam.
Yeah.
And he's able to selectively break them so that the laser shoots out the back of the glasses.
Oh.
And so
that's cool.
That's helpful when the bad guy has the glasses.
Has it happened, or if it hasn't, I hope it does happen, that at some point he gets to break a contract with someone?
He gets to break what?
A contract.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, you're in a legally binding contract. No, it's broken.
No, I broke it. There is one case that's funny. He falls out of a plane, and so he's plummeting to his death. Mm-hmm. And so he's narrating this, and he's trying to break his fall.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't manage it, though.
Darn.
But Grandpa Smedry saves him by showing up late for the fall.
Oh, okay.
And he is able to encapsulate Alcatraz in showing up late.
Gotcha.
So that's another thing their talents can do is they can use it to affect other people as well.
Gotcha.
So Grandpa Smedry can make a whole group of people show up late for something.
Nice.
This other guy, Kaz is his name. He has the talent of getting lost, which doesn't sound very helpful, but it's sort of like a transportation magic.
Yeah.
So he can get lost, which means he just transports somewhere else. So when you're able to control it, that means you can basically get anywhere in the world quickly.
Very cool.
So then the limitation on those is that they're not very stable.
Yeah.
So they're extremely difficult to control, and so it just yields lots of unpredictable results.
Right.
Then the lenses, so they have these different lenses which are made from sands, different types of sand. And the limitation with those is you have to have a pair to use them.
Right.
And you have to be an oculator, someone who can use them.
Right.
So the different lenses do different things. So you can never do one specific thing at a time. You can only do one specific thing at a time.
Okay.
So they have oculators lenses, which allow you to view extra information about the world around you. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, they have like the Firebringers lenses, which shoot out fire. But you can't use those while using other lenses. They've got translators lenses. These end up being extremely rare and a point of plot in the first several novels.
Okay.
So it means you can read any language, basically.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that.
And then they also have what they call technology, which is also based on glass.
Okay.
They call it a cinematic technology. And so they have different glasses that they can forge, which will push things away and then pull things together. They have transporters glass,
nice,
which you can transport things. They have communicators glass, which you can communicate. And as he's coming into this world, he's like, this all seems like magic to me.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, it's just technology.
It's the wrong word.
Anyway, yeah, that's that world. Which, if it's Brandon Sanderson, it all is encompassed in the Cosmere, which is some part of the same universe as Mistborn.
Right. Ugh. Don't even get me started, man. Is Alcatraz part of the Cosmere?
I'm assuming if Sanderson wrote it, it is.
I thought he wasn't. I thought it was different, but
maybe.
I'm not sure. I haven't done that much research into it, so.
It is Earth, so it could be just a separate thing.
Yeah.
Like it's United States of America. And
oh,
London,
okay.
But there's other continents.
Yeah. All right. Next.
You have another book?
Yeah. Let's go over Fireblood.
Games.
There's no magic in the Hunger Games. There's crazy people. Okay. No, I was going to say Fireblood.
Fireblood, yeah.
So that's a really interesting magic system. They have, I think it's just fire.
Yeah.
Right. So only very few people have like the Fireblood.
Right.
Which they can control flames. But you can only use it for a very short period of time or else you go insane.
Right, yeah.
And it's very uncommon to have it. So I think like that's like the majority of it. Then there's also like druids who can make you forget
Right, yeah.
who you are. And then there's like potion-ish type alchemy.
Yeah, like alchemy.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess we could call that a type of magic.
Yeah.
I mean, they try to dress it up in scientific stuff, but it's basically potions.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's a really cool magic system. The book series that I'm always talking about, The Throne of Glass, that magic system is derived from fairies.
The Fae?
Yeah, the Fae, who were gods trapped in the world that they're in, who had babies with humans that made Fae that have powers. Anyway, there's like elemental powers. So there's like wind and fire, there's ice, and then there's like shape-shifting, there's raw magic that you can make it be whatever you want it to be, and then there's like dark magic, but they all come with, basically the parameters they have on that magic is if you can't control it, like they have what they call like a well inside of them.
Right.
So some people have a very short one, some people have a very deep one. And so the further you like power down into that and pull it back up to use it is how they kind of describe it. They like tunnel down into it and then like pull it back up.
Interesting.
To use it. The quicker they do that, the more likely it is that they're going to burn out and die.
Oh, nice.
So you have to like very slowly like tunnel. So like if they're going to go to war, you know, they got to like tunnel down for like days.
Oh, wow.
But then your magic is trying to escape. So you're also trying to fight your magic from escaping your body while also trying to contain it and to control yourself and to keep spiraling down into your power so that you can bring it back up and use it.
Interesting.
It's really interesting.
Do they use the magic in a lot of conflict resolution scenarios?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The main character has like fire powers, and she's like the strongest fire. You know, she's like the chosen one.
The chosen one.
So she's got like an unlimited well of power, and she's
unlimited,
like super fire powers.
Right. Yeah, Alcatraz follows that chosen one trope too.
Yeah.
Because he's like the
special one
descendant of the original Alcatraz who had the breaking power.
Right. Another book series that I read a long time ago, which I would not recommend. It's not great, but it's called Red Queen.
Okay.
And it's like a dystopian fantasy magic book. There's like technology, like motorcycles and stuff.
I love that.
But also there's like kings and queens and like peasants. So you either have red blood or you have silver blood.
Silver blood.
And if you have silver blood, that means you have superpowers. And they could be like anything, like turning invisible or making you, you know, control your mind or, you know, electricity or super strong or, you know, like whatever. Like literally anything. It could be anything. Like I can control plants. Like it's just
bees.
Bizarre. Exactly. Like really bizarre stuff. Like anything. But there's like a few like main ones, you know, that everybody kind of has.
Very common. Yeah.
But the book follows this girl who finds out that she has like lightning magic powers that hasn't existed in years, and she has red blood.
Okay.
And so they're like, oh, what is happening? And then, you know, they kidnap her and try and... It's like kind of like a government conspiracy. Like, we can't let the red bloods know that they can have powers.
Oh, no.
So, it wasn't my favorite. But, you know, it was an interesting magic system.
That's a bit of a trope, the long-lost power.
Yeah.
I'm actually using that in my book.
I love that.
I just realized that as you were talking. That's all right. Another book I recently listened to, I've actually talked about it on the podcast, is The Black Prism by Brent Weeks, which I thought had a fantastic magic system. The magic system was based on light. So different people had this ability to use light. Most people had like one color that they could use, and the different colors did different things.
Right.
So red was associated with fire. So you could create fire if you could use the red light. I can't remember what they called the magic users. It might come to me. I don't know. The blue was used for calming things, also for logic and reason. But then they could also like make physical things like a shield or something.
Right.
The green was more wild and like just kind of a battle type scenario.
Okay.
Which could create like full armor and weapons and stuff. And then yellow was almost useless. It didn't do much, but you could use it in certain circumstances for different things. And then they even had like ultraviolet type, not on the visible spectrum type light that they could use for different things. So you could like create a string of this light that people couldn't see and attach it to something, and then you could make an explosive with other types of light. But you can make this grenade basically of other types of light.
Yeah. Something
filled with red that would explode, and then send it along this invisible string of light.
Okay.
To something. And so that was a type of battle.
That's cool.
So the limitations on this magic was, like you had to be able to see the light, so you had to see red in order to use red. But then you could also wear goggles that like turned everything red.
Yeah.
It was less powerful, but you could still use it. But then there was also a lifespan limitation on it. So the more you use this power, the quicker you would hasten your death, basically.
Okay.
But as it turns out, it wouldn't actually hasten your death. It would just make you go insane. But there's even some doubt as to whether that's true or not, or if it's just propaganda being spread by some people.
Right. Like nobody wants to test it, find out.
Well, some people did.
Oh,
that's part of the plot development, cool. And so there's a lot in that book.
Love that.
But that was a really fascinating type of magic.
Yeah.
You should talk now since I'm choking.
Okay. So another book that I read, The Magic System, I cannot remember for the life of me what the book was called, but they were witches, and there was two kinds of witches. There were like red witches and, I don't know, white witches, maybe black witches, I don't know. Red and something. Gold? I don't know.
Red and green?
Something. There was another kind of witch.
Christmas witches.
Anyway, so the red witches can do magic with blood. So they have to use blood to do the magic, you know, so if you want to, like, see the future of the person, you have to have their blood, or if you want to, you know, kill them, you have to have their blood, and, or if you want to, like, you could, like, draw a symbol with the blood, and then, you know, there's so many things. But then the other type of magic was really interesting because the other types of witches, they could do whatever you can imagine with a comparable consequence, but you don't get to choose the consequence.
Oh, funny.
So, like, one girl, or, like, you can, as long as, like, the magic deems it an appropriate exchange.
Right.
So, like, one girl, she was, like, picking locks, and she didn't have anything to pick with, so she broke her fingers and opened the lock.
Oh, wow.
Or, like, her friend was dying, and so to save him, she, like, forgot her memories from childhood, so she lost herself.
Oh, yikes.
And brought him back. Yeah. So it's, like, all very situational.
Sort of an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth.
But they can, like, see, like, the connections, so they can, like, see different options they can trade.
Oh, okay.
For different things.
Interesting.
Right. But then also, so one of the main plot points, I think, of the book is, like, witches are, it's kind of like a churchy book, actually. Like, there's, like, the Catholics and then the witches, and the Catholics are trying to kill all the witches.
Of course they are.
But every time you use magic, you, like, produce this scent. Everybody can smell it. Everybody can smell the magic. But then she ends up getting trapped in, like, the Catholic Church and, like, accidentally married to one of the Catholic people. Oops. And she's, like, trying to hide it. It's, like, a whole situation, and it was not a very good book, but the magic system is very interesting.
Very cool. There's something like that in the Way of Kings series.
Yeah.
The exchange idea. So there's this, I can't even remember what it's called, but it's some magical being that you can seek out and go seek what they call a boon.
Oh, okay.
So she'll either reveal something to you from the future or guarantee something in the future in exchange for something.
Right.
And you don't know going in what that's going to be, and it could be disastrous.
Yeah.
For you. So this one guy, he exchanges the ability to be like hyper intelligent. Mm-hmm. But the exchange is that it's not always that way, and most days he's an idiot.
Love that.
So he has to have handlers that like take care of him. Handlers. But then when he's really super intelligent, he's just like writing tons of stuff down. And
love that.
Yeah.
I think I'm like 30% of the way through that book, and I still have like no idea what the magic system is. I'm still like trying to figure it out because there's like the orbs with the light in them.
Yeah.
And then there's like the spellcasters.
Right.
But then there's also like the shard blades.
The shards.
And like the shard lights, and then there's like the magic creatures that are like the Spren, and like there's just so much going on, and I'm just
it'll all come together. Trust
puttering along. Bridge 4. That's all I got.
That's right. It is well worth it when you get to the end.
I believe it. I 100% believe it.
The payoff is huge.
I'll probably have to read it again one day because I have like absolutely no idea what's going on. It's like one of those books where like you have to know what happens at the end to know what's happening right now.
Right, yeah.
So
I should probably read it again too.
You should listen to it on audiobook. I like the audiobook version that I have.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's good.
Is it a good one?
Yeah.
That's good.
So I've got one more type of magic.
Hopefully I can talk through it.
Ooh, you got a lot.
I'm not going to read all these notes. I just wanted to have them because it's been a while since I read this book, but it's called The Warded Man by Peter V. Brett.
Yeah.
So the magic system is based on wards. They're basically diagrams or pictures that you can draw. Because the world in which they live, there's these demons, like these elemental demons that come out at night and just wreak havoc. They kill people and destroy things. And so, like, there's a built-in curfew to the world. You have to be inside. And you have to have your doors warded properly so that the demons can't come in.
Okay.
And so it's all about these wards, which are able to fend off the demons. Well, this one kid from this village, in a moment of sheer stupidity, decides he's going to run away from home.
Love that.
Which means he ends up being, like, in the wilderness after dark. And so he creates a ward for himself on the ground, which keeps the demons out, and he survives. And so then he just continues just going on his own and surviving in the wilderness.
Uh-huh.
And then as he grows up, eventually he realizes that, well, one, he's a really good warder. Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to draw the wards perfectly.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then they're weak and the demons can break through them easier. So he's really good at that. But then he also figures out how to tattoo himself with wards.
Ah, love that.
So then basically, like, he's a boss. He can just walk through the forest at night and the demons can't bother him because he's warded his entire body. And then he figures out how to make offensive wards, which battle the demons.
Cool.
And so by the end of it, he's, like, battling demons.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool system.
It sounds kind of like Shadows for Silence in the Forests of Hell.
Yeah, it's a similar feel there.
Yeah.
With the dark forest and being scared to go
monsters,
out.
Yeah.
One of the limitations of that, I guess, is, like, the ability. So there's a knowledge limitation and an ability limitation. You have to know the wards and you have to be able to draw them perfectly.
Okay.
And as you learn in the book, there's also, like, a specific skill involved with creating new wards. So apparently there's some research involved and you have to figure out how to make different wards to do different things.
That sounds really interesting.
It's actually a series. I only read the first one. It'd probably be worth it to go back and read the rest of them.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Just add it to the list.
Just add it.
Maybe we'll get to it one day.
Yeah. So what have you been reading or finished reading since we last met?
I have not finished reading anything since we last met. That night shift life is killing me a little bit. I'm still reading The Hobbit.
Right, yeah.
Still working through that. I read a little bit of that this morning. Actually, still not through the first chapter, but, it's a long first chapter.
Well, we're on the same page then, so
cool.
That's good.
The Horse and His Boy.
Right.
Still puttering along. The Way of Kings, I'm about 30% through. I did start reading another book called, it's nonfiction, so it's called How to Keep House While Drowning.
Oh, nice.
And, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's like how to clean your house when you're stressed.
Sounds good.
Because I live in it looks like my bedroom got looted right now, so
yeah,
trying to work through that. I also, in theme with, I'm writing YA, so I want to read more YA. I picked up a book called Miss Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And it looks like a pretty quick read. It's got a lot of pictures in it. So I was like, I might speed through that in a day or two.
So I haven't read a whole lot, but similar to you, I'm diving into the Alcatraz series since it's middle grade. I finished Alcatraz versus the Knights of Crystalia.
Okay.
Which is the third book. It was pretty good. I've found that as they're going along, they're getting less and less good.
Yeah.
Which is unlike Sanderson.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the fourth book, which is Alcatraz versus the Shattered Lens.
Okay.
And I'm listening to these books, and I have gotten to the point where I've upped the listening speed because I'm tired of the rambling.
Yes.
Like, oh, please get it over with. So he has this one chapter in there where they're infiltrating through the bad guys, and for whatever reason, he decides they're going to do this infiltration and attack while speaking lines from Shakespeare.
No reason, just...
No reason. We're just quoting Shakespeare now. And so, he gives some sort of reason, but it's not a good one.
And Sanderson says, at this point, I'm so famous, nobody will care anyway.
I think, honestly, he's just got all these demons running around in his head, these weird ideas. He was like, I just need to get this out on paper.
Yeah, and then his publishers are like, this is gold, Sanderson.
Right,
we love it, sir.
And he's also doing the thing where he's talking to you while he's narrating the story.
Oh, yeah.
But it's ramped up so much in the fourth book, it's just driving me crazy at this point.
Yeah.
I'm like, will you just tell the story?
Yeah, please just get on with it.
Please
I'm bored.
Just get on with the story. I'm not actually sure how many books are in this series, but I may switch to a different series if there's more.
Try something else.
Find something else in the middle grade.
You should read some Lemony Snicket.
Oh, that could be fun. I prefer something with magic, though, since I'm writing magic. Well, thank you for joining us in this 13th episode of Writing on Caffeine, and please forgive the coughing and choking. We hope you'll join us again in 2 weeks-ish.
Probably, maybe.
Please subscribe wherever you find podcasts, and if you are so inclined, leave us a review. 5-star reviews are preferable. Be sure to visit the website, writingoncaffeine.com, where you can view the show notes and subscribe to our email list, which maybe we'll get around to sending sometime, so that you never miss an episode.
And the whole building just chose right now to get extremely loud.
Yeah, so hopefully you'll be able to hear this.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I didn't move the mouse.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
It's so loud in here.
It is loud.